Hello, everyone. On today's podcast episode, I'm going to continue where I left off. When I was talking about, the road less traveled is the road to heaven, and the road more traveled is the road to hell, like it says in the Bible. I'm gonna, there was a segment on my last, episode where I talked about poor, rich folks getting scammed, by the system, and it's actually the truth is that poor folks, right? They try to be, they think wealth is all that matters. Most people think, they chase after money, thinking money will give them everything they want, without realizing that that's the path, the path where the majority, the things that the majority of people chase after is usually the path to hell. Hell as in depression, sadness, torment, regret, shame. All the negative feelings exist in hell. There are no positive feelings in hell. Likewise, when you chase after, all these things that most people chase after, you end up getting what? Depressed, anxious, regretful, sad, suicidal. Well, if you chase after the good things in life, right? You get happiness, kindness, love, compassion, bliss, joy. All the heavenly feelings only come when you follow, the gates of heaven. When you go towards the gates of heaven, you experience happiness. When you go towards the gates of hell, you experience sadness, sorrow, depression, suicidal thoughts, anxiety, stress, and all the other problems that come with life. And when in the Bible, when it says, the road to hell is large and and filled with people. That's what that's exactly the state of the world right now. The world is filled with a lot of sorrowful people, people with diseases, plagues, problems, anxiety, stress, all these mental and physical disorders. Just like it states in the Bible. Most people will not go to heaven. And just like it is right now, most people are depressed. Most people are not happy. Just like it states in the Bible, most people will go to hell. Most people right now are depressed. They will never experience any of the heavenly feelings like happiness, joy. It's not because, God has forced them down that path. Is that the evil things in this world always look, extremely beautiful from afar. That's the greatest illusion of life is that the more beautiful something is, chances are the more detrimental it looks. The more attractive it is from afar, the more detrimental it actually is for you. And this is why you have to be careful in life. The more perfect something looks from afar, chances are there's something hidden within it that's detrimental for you. The road to God may not look beautiful. The road to heaven looks tiny and narrow. It doesn't look like a place you want to go to, does it? A tiny and narrow path does not look like a place you want to go to. The place you want to go to is where everyone goes to, the large, wide open path, it's spacious, it makes you feel good. You have enough breathing room. It's large and big. So it's easy to get there. It's easier to get to hell than it is to go to heaven because it's spacious and wide, It's so welcoming. It feels welcoming. It feels like that's where you need to go. And the best part of it is that since everybody's going down that path, why shouldn't you? That's the mindset of people. Is that if everybody's doing it, why shouldn't I do what everyone else is doing? That is how welcoming the gates of hell is. They're so welcoming that, everyone else does it. So you just feel the drive to do it as well. Everyone else chases after money, chases after luxury. So you feel the drive to chase after luxury as well. Everyone chases after relationships. So you feel the drive to chase after relationships as well. Everyone else chases after drugs. So you feel the drive to chase after drugs as well. You don't care what relationship you're in. You just want to be in a relationship. You don't value the relationship. You just need to be in a relationship because everyone else is, in a relationship. You feel claustrophobic. You feel forced. You feel, what do you call it? When you peer influence, when the peers influence you, there's a word for it, but when your peers, you feel influenced by the people around you to get into a relationship. You feel influenced by the people around you to get, to do drugs. You feel influenced by the people around you to show off, with money. And if someone already has money, you feel influenced by the people around you to buy luxury goods, luxurious goods. You feel influenced by everyone around you to do these things. You try to follow others, but guess what? The road these people are going isn't the road to happiness. It's the road to depression. It's the road to stress. This is why this world is always filled with all this, violence, and crimes. Is that everyone just keeps following everyone else towards a downwards path, a spiral towards hell. No one ever just says, "Why should I follow you?" Just because you're doing drugs does not mean I have to do drugs as well. Just because everyone is in a relationship does not mean I just have to jump into any relationship just so that I can stay in a relationship as well. Instead of picking and choosing who you get into a relationship with, you just jump into any relationship just so that, you're just like everybody else. Guess what? Everybody else is depressed. Everybody else is suffering from anxiety, stress, pain, sorrow, and suicidal thoughts. This is what people suffer from. So if you want to be like everyone else, you have the same experience as everyone else. You have the same depressing, hellish life that everyone else has on earth. And this is the problem with, wealth as well. Many people chase after wealth without realizing that wealthy people are always getting scammed. They don't know they're getting scammed. But the things they buy is more expensive for them than for us. There's a wealth tax. There's a hidden wealth tax that they don't know about. You chase after wealth thinking wealthy people are experiencing better lives because they're buying, mansions and buying all these expensive things without realizing these guys aren't enjoying their lives either. They're suffering just like you. There's so many people on the news, with, lots of money, committing suicide, killing their family members, killing their parents. The wealthy people are just as, miserable as you are. They're not any different from you. You chase after what they get, you chase after what they're chasing after. You get the same experience as them. Misery, suffering, pain. But not all wealthy people are suffering. Just the ones that follow others. The ones that, think for themselves and behave, and make choices based on whether they like it or not because everyone else is doing it. They're the happy ones. It's likewise the poor folks who are doing the same thing, making choices that, based on whether they like it or not, are also happy. There are many rich folks out there, buying expensive goods, right? Without realizing that these expensive goods are actually very, very cheaply made goods. They don't know that they're, cheaply made goods because they think, the mindset of people is that because it's expensive, it must be good, it must be more valuable. Without realizing that all these expensive things that you're buying, at a high premium are scams. You're being scammed. Marketers, will sell things to, richer folks. The same thing that they sell to poor folks, right? For $10. They'll sell to someone else. As long as they know they're wealthy, they'll sell for them for like $500 or up to like $10,000. So the wealthy person will buy a $10 item for $1,000 or $10,000 and think they're actually gaining something more beneficial than the poor folks. They assume just because the thing costs more money, it's actually better. When the truth is, it's a lie. It's a marketing scam. These companies are known to trick. They're designed. Many companies are designed to trick customers out of their own wealth. There was a recent news article that I read where there was an island where rich people gather every New Year, right? And guess what happened? That island had a bunch of what do you call it? A bunch of houses there, right, for rent. When rich people don't go there, the houses are only for like The rent for that place is like $1,000 a month, right? But the moment they know that the rich folks are coming, guess what? That $1,000 a month rent becomes $10,000. They hike up the price just so you pay more for less. And that's how life works. Is that there's an illusion that you think because you spend more money, you're actually gaining more things in life. But the truth is, it's a lie. There's a bottleneck of how much you can gain. You buy $1 million. Like I made a. I talked about this in the previous episode. But what I said was that rich folks buy $1 million Lamborghini, right? Without realizing how valueless that thing is. They buy a luxurious car, right? Thinking they'll get all the benefits from it. But the truth is, if you're living in the United States, a Lamborghini, I've seen a Lamborghini before. These cars are so low to the ground. It's hard to drive this car on a regular basis without damaging it. These are expensive cars. That means if anything on that car breaks, you have to fix it with a lot of money. If you're someone with a lot of money, it's fine. You can throw all your money, into your car and go broke in a few years. That's up to you. There are many rich folks getting poor every single year. Many of them. They go from being rich to being poor very quickly because they keep spending money on expensive things. If that's you, go ahead. This is a Lamborghini. The benefits of it. They tell you the benefits of it is that it's a sports car, right? But the thing is, American roads you can't go more than 70 miles an hour on most roads, on most highways without you getting a ticket, without the cops pulling you over. So no matter how many miles an hour a car goes, right? Whether it goes 200 miles an hour, 300 miles an hour, it doesn't matter. You as an American, you can only go 70 miles an hour on a highway, at most 80 miles an hour, if you're trying to pass someone. If you go higher than that, you're breaking the speed limit rule. If you go 200 miles an hour, you can't even go 200 miles an hour. You can't even go to 100 miles an hour without getting pulled over sooner or later. People, they're dash cams of people. They call the cops. There's a dash cam they can just use to get you arrested. Many cars have dash cams, on their cars, So it's easy for you to get arrested, going 100 miles an hour on any road in the United States. Other countries, they may be different. I know there are places in Europe that allows you to drive, places without speed limits in Europe. But that's not the United States. If you're someone in the United States, what's the point of buying a car that goes 200 miles an hour, spending millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars buying a car that goes 200 miles an hour, right? When you can only drive 70 miles an hour just like the rest of us. And not to mention that car, if anything happens, because the car is expensive, if anything happens, you're going to spend a lot of money trying to fix it, right? A $20,000 car, not only does it go 70 miles an hour, most cars go, at least 100 miles an hour, That's usually the maximum they go, 100 miles an hour. So just spending $20,000 buying a $20,000 car, not only can you find a perfect car for you, right? You spend like $20,000 to $40,000, if not $50,000, at most $80,000, right? Not only would you find the perfect car for you, right? That meets exactly the specs that you want. If anything happens to that car, you still have a lot of money to fix it. You can even buy multiple, versions of that car. If you like that car that much, you can buy multiple versions of that car with the same amount of money you bought a Lamborghini with, and you'll still have money to spare. And this is the trap of life: is that you buy expensive things thinking they're more beneficial, more useful, when the truth is the features of that $1 million car or that $1 million object, you can find it in much cheaper cars or objects, and you have money to spare in case anything happens to them. You have money to spend to buy anything else. So not only are you getting cheated when it comes to fixing it. When you buy something expensive, the insurance is also expensive. On the thing, the insurance is expensive and the maintenance is also expensive. When you buy something cheap, the insurance is cheaper, the maintenance is cheaper, and the experience. You may think you're losing value, the little value from the experience, but it's a lie. You're tricking yourself because when someone buys an expensive thing, they almost always believe it's better, not because it's actually better, but because they think it's better. There's a phenomenon called I don't know the name of it, but it's a phenomenon where when someone gets scammed, right? They automatically, instead of accepting that they've been scammed, they cover up for it by saying it's they buy, if you sell someone a lemon when they're supposed to buy, when they're expecting something better, right? Instead of just accepting that they were scammed, they'll instead try to cover up for it. They don't want to look bad, and that's you. That's most people. They buy something expensive, but when they realize what they bought is useless, they don't want to accept that they've been scammed. So they just they keep making up excuses why this thing is good for them, knowing full well there's nothing good about it. You spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy something that's extremely cheap to get. The same value you get from that $100,000 car, right? You can get it from a $40,000 car or a $20,000 car, and you have money left to do whatever you want with. So being richer is not, it's not really automatically means you automatically start living a better life. It's because getting richer means there are people out there trying to scam you out of your money. There's so many cases of people of all these clothing brands, right? Selling clothes that have been verified, cheap to make. We know these clothes are extremely cheap to make. We know these, items are extremely cheap to make. The worst part of it is these very brands are selling these items at a very much cheaper price using a different brand. They put a different brand tag on it, right? And they sold it for you for like $15. But the moment they put their own, name brand tag on it, they're selling it for $500, $600, $800. So rich people pay $800 for something that's only $15. They don't see, and they show it off as if they just bought, the coolest thing in the world without realizing they've just been scammed. And this is the world we live in. If you follow what other people are buying, chances are you'll buy a scam. Because other people only buy things because other people are buying it. They never think too deeply why they're buying things. They never think why they should buy it, why they should own a mansion. They own a mansion because everyone else has a mansion. If you're a millionaire, you have a mansion because everybody else has it. And then you end up going broke paying the taxes on that mansion. You end up going broke paying the insurance on that mansion. And all the maintenance work that has to be paid. And all the bills that has to be paid for that mansion. And this is how life works, is that rich folks also have their own struggles. There are many companies out there trying to scam people. Just the moment they know they're rich, they'll try every means possible to scam them and steal from them. That's the life that rich people have to deal with, is that there are a lot of scammers out there that, purposely target rich folks, that purposely look for ways to scam them. And many companies have that mindset that if someone is rich, they'll find a way to steal as much money from them as possible. If someone is poor, they'll just do the best, to take the little amount that they can from the person because they already know the person doesn't have that much money. You as a rich person, they know you have a lot of money, so they'll try to find as many ways possible to steal your money from you. And that means selling you expensive things when the things are actually cheap to begin with. Cheap things that they can make very cheaply and sell very cheaply. They'll sell that at an expensive premium because they know you're a rich person. They know you'll buy it. Why? And as long as they can scam enough rich folks into buying this, now all the rich folks want to buy it as well because hey, if this rich folks has it, everyone else must they must have it too. If everyone else has an extremely expensive iPhone that does nothing all day, they must have it as well. When a cheap, Motorola could get them, you have to think about phones as not about price. Just like everything in life, you just have to find something that's useful for you. Find something that's beneficial for you. Do not just go with what everyone else has. I'm not saying don't buy something expensive. I'm just saying if you want to buy something expensive, you have to, think why you need it. Do you really need this thing? If you buy something that is expensive just because it's expensive, chances are you're being scammed. That's a marketing scheme to make you think that because it's expensive, it's automatically better when it's not. Someone could, There's so many cases of people selling cheap goods. Companies, these are major companies. These are, these are the leaders of the world. These major companies sell cheap goods at an expensive price because they know there are a bunch of rich folks who will buy it for no reason. And these rich folks think, because I'm rich, I'm buying expensive things, I'm better than the poor folks because the poor folks can't afford what I can get, without realizing that you're buying the same thing that the poor folks are buying. Yours is just more expensive. You're the one being scammed. These guys, the poor folks that you're mocking for only being able to buy, cheap things, have the same, they may even be experiencing something better than what you have. You're paying for more, you pay for more, you pay more for what they have. You're paying more for what they have. Yet you feel like, you're doing so, you've just accomplished a great task. When the truth is you're buying more. You're buying, you're paying more for less. Because you keep buying things that other people are buying. You're buying things just because it's expensive, not because you like it. You're buying things just because everyone else around you has it, not because you need it. And this is how life is. The path towards happiness is narrow. And the path towards happiness is making, conscious choices. Do not follow what everyone else is doing. If you follow what everyone else is doing, they'll all be depressed, just like, you'll be depressed just like them. How can you not be depressed when you spend $1 million just to buy a car that you don't need, that you can barely use, that you don't even like, that, costs a lot more money just to drive the car? If anything happens to that car, you have to spend a lot of money trying to fix it. If anything happens to any of the expensive things you buy, you have to spend a lot of money trying to fix it. Or worse yet, you can't even spend any money fixing it because there's no one to fix it for you. It's too expensive, and there's no way you can find to fix that problem for you. Now you're stuck with a broken, a broken object that's way too expensive. Yet there's no way for you to fix it. Now you just ruined. How can you not? How can you not be ruined when you spend so much money just to get something that will break very quickly? So this is the problem with life, is that you never know what's going on in someone else's life. Do not think, poor folks are more depressed than normal rich folks, because let me give you this example. The vast majority of people, in developed countries, right, are rich compared to undeveloped countries, right? The third world countries is filled with poor folks, right? Guess what? Most people in these developed countries are depressed, right? And these are the rich folks, right? Compared to third world countries, the rich folks in this, the people in developed countries are considered rich by default, because third world countries are poor, right? In the eyes of people, in third world countries, the people in the developed countries, in the eyes, they think we're living the greatest lives, possible. They think we're in heaven. People in third world countries think you are living in a heavenly life, with a perfect life. Everything happens perfectly for you. That's how they see you. But do you really believe you're living a perfect life? That's how you see people richer than you, isn't it? You think the people richer than you are living a perfect life because they're richer than you. That it automatically means they're living a perfect life. That's the same mindset that you have, the same illusion that you have is the same illusion that the poor folks have. Yet here you are suffering, just like them, just like the poor folks. You're suffering just like them. And guess what? The people you think are richer than you, living a better life, are suffering just like you. You don't see them suffering, just like the third world country people do not see you suffering. So they automatically assume you're living a great life. Your life is the perfect life, possible. There's no one in the United States suffering. In the eyes of third world country people, you guys do not suffer a single day in your life. That's their mindset. That's how they see you. As you're living, you're living in heaven in their eyes. But are you really living in heaven? When so many studies that keep showing that people in developed countries are miserable, are depressed. Do you really think the rich folks that you're rushing towards, you're trying to be rich so badly? Do you really think they're living a happier life than you? chances are, just like believe, just like the third world country people believe you're living, your happy life. That's how you believe these guys are. And since you're miserable, chances are the people who are richer than you are just as miserable as you are. You just can't see it. And because you just can't see it, you keep assuming they're the happiest people alive. When the truth is, the vast majority of people go towards the easy path. They go towards the path of hell. They go towards the path where they just follow others. Because they just follow others. They just like to behave like everyone else. Their life is just as miserable like everybody else. If you behave like everybody else, you experience the same nightmare that everybody else is experiencing. You experience the same bad life, the same hellish life that everyone else is experiencing. You will never experience heaven in this world. You never experience any of the happiness and joy that this world has. Yes, there are happy people in this world. They exist. You may not have ever seen them, but yep, they are. They may not be the richest folks in the world. They may not be the poorest. And they may be rich and they may be poor. But yes, there are happy people in this world. Some are rich, some are poor, some are middle class. Either way, the only reason why they're happy is because they don't follow others. Whether you're rich or poor, as long as you keep following others, you keep trying to behave like everyone else, your life will be miserable, just like everyone else. If you behave like everybody else, your life will be miserable, just like everybody else's. So this isn't about poor folk, rich folks having a worse life than poor folks. Everybody has the same life. The experience is, rich folks have rich folks' problems. Poor people have poor people problems. Rich people think poor people are living a worse life than they are. And poor people think rich people are living a worse life than they are. But the truth is, it's all even. Because rich folks have their own problems to deal with. It evens out. Poor folks have the problems to deal with. Rich folks have the problems to deal with. Rich folks have scams, theft, fake friends, and all these other problems to deal with. There's too many people, chasing after rich folks like they're money bags, You think being rich is all that great without realizing that rich folks have to be very careful. There are too many poor people in this world who are after their wealth. The money these rich folks have worked hard to get, there's too many people out there trying to steal it from them. And this is why they can never be happy, because there's so many ways to trick rich folks out of their money. There's so many ways to scam people. As long as people know you're very wealthy, it's so easy for them to find different ways to scam you out of your money. Child support, alimony, people who has never sued a single person in their lives. The moment they know that you're rich, they'll try to sue you for your money. These are people who've never sued people before. But the moment they know you're rich, they'll try to sue you for your money. Over the smallest thing, too. This is what rich folks have to deal with. Not to mention all the scams that are target rich folks on a daily basis. The businesses go out of their way to trick rich folks out of their money by giving them expensive things that aren't useful in any way, shape, or form. And there are endless companies that do that. Some are legitimate companies that they play with the rules. They don't want to. They can't go to the scam. They can't be considered a scam, right? Because they're straightforward. They just advertise this stuff perfectly to trick rich folks into giving up all their wealth. While then there are the real scammers. The ones who actually just try to steal your money without giving you any benefit whatsoever. They're not trying to sell you a $2 car for $50,000. They're doing the opposite. They just want to steal your money. They will not give you a car as a trade. They just take all your money and run away with it. And then you have the burglars, the thieves, the fake friends that are just there to steal from you. They're just there to manipulate you out of your money. You have the fake lovers. The life of a rich folks is harder than you think. They have to navigate a lot of greedy people. Their lives is filled with a lot of greedy people that you may think, just because you're rich and the other person is rich, right? You think when rich folks hang out with each other, there's no longer a greed factor, right? You're wrong. If someone has $20 million, right? If friend A has $20 million and friend B has $20 million, guess what? Friend A will want to steal that $20 million that friend B has. That friend A will pretend to be a friend with friend B just to have their $20 million. Why? Because if friend A can take friend B's $20 million, friend A will not have $40 million in his bank account. Money is still money. A greedy person will still be greedy, whether they have $1 billion or not. And this is what rich folks have to deal with. They have to deal with greedy people that are poor and greedy people that are rich. Rich, even someone who has $100 million in a bank account, and you have only $1 million in your bank account, that $100 million person will still try to take your $1 million from you, because now they have, if they can steal your $1 million from you, whichever way they want, by tricking you to, invest in a project that never comes to fruition, or whatever scam they want to scam, they'll still try to take that $1 million from you, because $1 million in the end is still just $1 million. $1 million is still $1 million. It can still get you a lot of things. Who cares if they have $100 million? It doesn't matter. $1 million is still $1 million. And you have $1 million, something that they want. This is the life of rich folks. Everyone around them want what they have. And this is the problem that they have to deal with on a daily basis. Even their friends that are richer than them will still want what they have, will still try to take everything they have from them. This is the world we live in. There are a lot of greedy people in this world. And there's no such thing as too much money. In the eyes of most people, there's no such thing as too much money. Even if they have $100 billion or $100 trillion, $1 million is still $1 million. They'll still try to take $1 million from you. Even if they have trillions of dollars in their bank account, you still have $1 million that they want. It is still $1 million and can still get you a lot of things in life. And that's what rich folks have to deal with. This is why they're still just as depressed as everyone else, because they have their own problems to deal with as well, just like everyone else. No one is living a happy life in this world. I mean, the vast majority of people aren't living a happy life. That's what I'm saying. Because the road to heaven, the road to happiness, the road to joy is very narrow. You have to make conscious choices. You can't just live your life on autopilot. You have to make choices that make your life better. You can't just do what everyone else is doing. If you do what everyone else is doing, you live a miserable life just like everybody else. You have to understand what you want in life. You have to understand what you want in life. You have to remove all the bad scammers from your life. You have to remove the fake friends from your life. You have to remove the people that just aren't compatible with you from your life. If they're detrimental to you, they're detrimental to you. If they make you depressed, they make you depressed, whether they're millionaires or not. If they make you depressed, they make you depressed. If being around them makes you depressed, then you have to get rid of them. Yes, you won't have as many friends, but at least the friends you have will make you happy. The friends you have will make you happy. That's all you want in life. You don't need to have a million bad friends. One good friend is enough. Likewise, you don't have to have one bad friend. If you can have 5 good friends, that's still good. I'm not saying limit yourself to only one friend. If you find 5 good friends or 100 good friends, that's still good. But the thing is, do not, force yourself to make 100 bad friends just because, you want to have 100 friends. Because everybody else has 100 friends. You must have 100 friends as well. You must make sure every friend in your life is good. If you can't make sure every friend in your life is good, you live a miserable life just like everybody else. If you can't make sure the relationships you have is good, you live a miserable life just like everyone else. If you can't make sure the things in your life, the things you buy, are beneficial for you, not just because everyone else has it, but because you actually want to have them in your life. They actually bring value to your life. If you can't make sure the things you buy bring value to your life will be miserable trying to fix things you didn't, you spent all this money buying something only to spend more money trying to fix it because someone sold you something very bad at a very expensive price. Now you can't fix it without spending a lot of money trying to fix it. Now your life is even more miserable because, the thing you bought with the expensive thing you bought, thinking, it'll be easier for you to maintain, is even harder to maintain than the cheap thing that you thought was useless. And this is the life we live in. The greatest scams look so beautiful. The greatest scams in this world, like the pyramid scheme. This thing looks so attractive from afar. You will never see a scam as a scam from afar. And the better the scam, the more attractive it looks from afar. And this is how life works. The more corrupt something is, the more beautiful it looks from afar. The more evil something is, the more attractive and beautiful it looks from afar. It makes you want it very badly. Like you see all those people doing drugs. You see all of them doing drugs. They tell you, oh, how great this is. Yet when you look at, when you look at the studies that show all these drugs, that every single one of them is bad for you. But because so many people are doing it, you automatically assume, oh no, with so many people doing it, it can't be bad for me, right? You're wrong. Just because many people are doing it does not mean it's good for you in any way, shape, or form. Do not let people trick you into doing things that are harmful for you just because everyone else is doing it. There's so many times where everyone else have been doing things that are detrimental. The entire history of humanity is filled with everyone doing things that are very harmful for them, only to later realize that this is harmful. Only for studies and tests to end up showing us that this thing was harmful from the very beginning. Why did we start? Why did the whole humanity start doing something that was detrimental for them to begin with? No one knows. And this is the life we live in. When many people start doing something, you have to start questioning: Is this really beneficial? Everyone doing it because it's good for them, or they're just doing it because everyone else is doing it? If you do things just because everyone else is doing it, chances are your life will be just as miserable as everybody else's. But that's it for today's podcast. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.